Hello all, welcome to Selenium with Java June 2021 morning batch online training session 11. So in the previous session you already learned like what is Maven all about, how you can add the dependence with the Maven, right? And from this session onward I will try to go with the framework in depth session by session. Okay. So in today's session I will try to cover the below agenda, what is automation framework concept, what are the automation testing process involved, Java Ops concept to build automation framework, how you can link the Java 4 Ops concept to build the automation framework, what are the top 10 test automation frameworks available in the market, what is data driven framework in Selenium, and how we can read the data from the Excel sheet with the help of Apache PY. So what is framework? Right? Why we are using the framework? So in the previous session you already run. Without framework, still we can execute some sort of test case, right? We can navigate to a page, we can perform some operation, right? Even with the help of test engine framework, we can go with the different data variations with the help of data property annotations. But still, complete framework is required. Test engine is also a framework, but we need a proper framework. So I will be showing going in depth slowly. The framework defines a set of rule or best practice which user can follow in a systematic way to achieve the desired result. So even in the most of the interview, right, if you go for the interview, right, at least 30 to 40% questions they will ask, try to ask from the framework only. They will ask whether did you involve in the framework creation from the scratch. In case you did not involve, right, what are your different roles and responsibility, how you customize your framework, how you maintain your framework, all the questions will definitely come. What is your design productivity, skip development productivity, what is your execution productivity, what are the different challenges you have faced during framework development, all these things will come. So definitely you can get all the answers, sure. In a test automation project, user do perform different tasks by using different type of file. To organize and manage all the files and to finish all the tasks in a systematic approach, user use a framework. Automation framework is not a single tool or process, but it is a collection of tool and process working together to support automated testing of any application. So definitely it is not a single tool or process. So definitely you can use Maven, you can use TestNG, and also you can use some sort of concept, right? So that everything is a collection, all the collection is termed as a framework. Framework integrates various functions like libraries, test data, and various reusable modules, right? So I mean definitely we'll be segregate our test script with the test data separately. That is the one objective. We'll create the library functions so that any point of time we can call this thing. We will be creating reusable module for a single thing, right? Instead of calling the single thing multiple times, we'll be creating reusable module which can be used at a later point of time. Without framework, a single test case may have million lines of code, right? Suppose say you have 10,000 lines of code. At any point of time, if you need to identify, you need to update a particular thing, right? So to search that thing, it will take you time, and you need to go to that particular kinds of code and need to analyze it. So it will be a complicated process. But in case you are creating a framework and you are going in a systematic way, it will be very, very effective, right? So without a framework, a single test case may have millions lines of code and it will test the entire functionality of the application. Now suppose user need to modify any functionality later time. So is it possible to read the entire code again for a particular functionality, for a particular small change? You do not know how many times that particular thing is impacted. So you need to go through all the lines of code. So answer will be no, because reading so huge test cases or huge lines of code will be tough and boring, and user needs lot of time to analyze the entire code, right? So to avoid this thing, we need the automation framework. It does not matter which tool you are working. It can be Selenium, it can be UFT, it can be Tosca, it can be RFT, but you should need a proper framework for any of the automation tool. Automation framework concept, right? Primarily in the test automation framework, there are a lot of test automation framework available: modular driven testing framework, data driven testing framework, keyword driven testing framework, hybrid testing framework, behavior driven development framework, along with that test driven TDD, right? Test driven development framework also available. What are the major advantages of using any test automation framework? Right? So it saves time and maintenance schedule. In case you are using a proper framework, right, automation testing is faster in execution, and definitely it will help to maintain overall project timeline, because you can save some time, save some cost, right, and execution will be faster, and you can plan away properly. So it will help you for without any schedule or schedule deviation or effort deviation, right, to complete the project successfully. Reusability of the code is one of the importance. You will be creating, right, reusable method one time, and then you will use them multiple times. Hence, there is very less or minimal maintenance effort you will be required. Suppose in case you want to update it, so you will be updated only one time, and wherever calling it will does not have any impact. Easy reporting, right? Because most of the time, so TestNG also provides some sort of reporting feature, but it is not the proper way where we can present to customer easily. So we need to customize our report, right? So with the framework we can do, we can generate the proper reporting for which is available after the execution is over, and we can share this particular report to any stakeholder, business or internal stakeholder, leadership team, development team, like that. Easy for compatible testing. It enables parallel execution in combination of different OS and browser combination. So because the parallel testing is required, right, for different browser OS combination, and that framework will help you to do it very easily. Low cost maintenance. It is cheaper compared to manual testing for a long run project, right? Okay, in case it is a long run, and in case your return of an investment is positive, right, definitely from the in case you are using a proper framework, your maintenance cost will be low, right? Reliability. Automation testing is more reliable as less manual intervention is required, right? Sometimes automation testing can be performed, right, without manual intervention or unattended. Suppose you can run your test case on a nightly basis, and in the morning automatically it will trigger the result, and it will send the mail to all the respective stakeholder. Repetitive multiple execution for same set of test case, right? Especially suppose you need to create same sort of data for multiple times, or you need to run for the regression suite or MOOC suite, definitely it is framework is required, right? So it is mostly used for regression testing, support execution of repeated test case or sanity test or MOOC test, right? Minimal manual intervention, I already told, right, in the nightly basis we can run our test case without attending anyone from the testing side or the QA side. Maximum coverage, right, it helps to increase overall test coverage. Suppose say in case we are executing test cases manually, only we can go for 1 or 2 variations, but in case we are automating, we can go for 10 variations, right? So we can try to cover in case of any defect is there with the different variation of data. But because it will take update will take minimal time, but for manual it will take huge time, right? So that is the reason we can go for different permutation combination, and it will give us the maximum coverage. Automation framework concept. What is below these are the different below key parameters that a software tester need to keep in mind while developing any test automation framework, right? Handle script and data separately. That is the very key part. Until you are writing your script or keeping your data separately, it will be really tough process, right, to update or to maintain your script, right? So automated test script should be clearly separated from the input data stored, example XML, MS Excel file, FAT file or database, so that no modifications are required to the test script wherever data has to be changed for multiple input values. So we will be only taking care of the data sheet and will be changing the data. Library. A library should contain all reusable components and external connections such as database, generic function, application function, etc. Software testers should be exposed only to implement libraries, and tests should be performed by invoking this library. So in case you are mentoring all the useful components in a proper library, so you can update as and when required, and you can call them as and when also required, right? So that will be one time activity, but usage can be multiple times. Coding standard. Every organization need to maintain some coding standard, right? Because in case you are working for a big giant company, right? So definitely they are having CMMI 5 level company, ISO 9001 or later point of time, right? They are having some sort of organization capability. So each and every organization is having some standard protocols, right? So that every automation tester need to follow their company standard, right? So that any point of time in other person also work or multiple person also work. So it will be very helpful for them to understand the code easily, to understand the structure. So scripting standards should always be maintained across the test automation framework, which will discourage individual coding practice and help in maintaining code uniformity. which makes it easier for software tester and developer to interpret, right? Easily interpreted. Even suppose say today you develop the code, after 6 months time if you want to even rework, right, you will not able to understand your code, right? So that is the reason every automation tester should follow the coding standard set by the organization. Extensibility and maintenance. An ideal test automation framework should steadily support all new enhancement to the software application and allow modification of existing features. Example, a reusable library can be created which will help in enhancing application feature with minimal effort. So definitely that is the very important part. So instead of hard coding something, you can go for the kind of data variation combination. You can create some reusable component. So any point of time, right, in case you need to update your script, suppose say today you are having 3 pages, right, tomorrow you are having 4 pages, out of which 2 new page has been implemented and 1 existing page has been removed. So definitely you need to update your right test cases. But in case you are using reusable component, that component can be used for 50 places. So instead of 50 places, you will be updating only 1 places, and that update will be reflected everywhere. Script or framework versioning. Version of framework or script should be maintained either in local repository or versioning tool, which would help in easy mentoring of changes to software code. Why version is required? Suppose say today you already developed some functionality, right? And whenever you are giving demo to the leadership team or to your manager or to a client, so they are saying, suppose say no boss, this is not the correct one. Instead of that, you please implement this thing. So previously you are having some code and again you are updating based on the requirement, and after 3 days again you are demoing that whether it's correct. So that point of time your manager or client says no, our understanding was correct, please go back to the original one, right? So in case you are not maintaining any version, it will be tough, again you need to update your code. But in case you are maintaining any version, so suppose initially you have created 1.0 and based on the customer's interaction you can make it to 1.1, and again, right, customer is saying that no, go back to the original one, version 1.0. So in case you are maintaining version in history, you can immediately go to version 1.0 without any work. So that will also save your time, right, and also the correctness of the data and the correctness of the code. So that is the beauty, right? So you need to maintain the versioning control with the help of some version control tool. What type of testings, automated testing supported in the framework, right? Definitely smoke testing, unit testing, integration, functional, keyword driven testing, regression, data driven, black box testing, everything you can do it with the help of that any automation, good automation framework. Automation testing process, right? Whenever you will be creating any framework, right, you need to identify what type of test cases you need to pick up to automate, right? First thing, what type of test case you won't pick up to automate, these are the things you need to consider, right? So users should focus on the test case which should be executed in repetitive manner, such as regression test case, MOOC set case or sign test case, or even test data creation part, right? So those are the test cases you should first pick up to automate. And what are the test cases you should not pick up or you won't pick up to automate? Before picking up the test case to automate, users should check whether your application under test or AUT is stable or not, or your requirement is freezed or not, right? In case your requirement is not freezed or application is not stable, there is no way, to go for the automation, right? Okay. So before picking up the test case to automate, users should check whether the application is stable, your requirement is freezed or not. So based on this, right, the user don't pick up the test case when AUT or application under test changes frequently and the test case which they will run rarely, right? So and run only one time. So in case you want to run, execute or some test case to one time or very rarely, you no need to focus on the test case. Instead of that, whatever test case you will be running multiple times or data creation part, you can go for the automation for those entity, regression test case, smoke, sanity or test data creation part. Automation testing process, right? I have tried to given the basic process of the automation testing because most of the interviewer will definitely ask the question, right? What is the automation testing process, right? First you need to identify the tool, then you need to define the scope of the automation, then you need to perform planning, design and development, and then test execution and then maintenance, right? As part of test tool selection, right? So test tool selection largely depend on the technology the application under test or AUT is built on, right? So definitely you need to first analyze. In case you are going for the web-based application, definitely you can rely on Selenium, right? In case you are going for suppose Windows-based application, definitely you can rely on UFT. So that's why, right? In case you are going for the mobile testing, right, you can go with relevant part, right? Kind of APM testing. In case you are going for API testing, APM testing, right? In case you are going for APM testing, you can go for SOAP UI, right, or REST assured framework, all this stuff. So based on your technology or based on your type of application, you need to select the tool. Okay. So say for instance, QTB does not support Informatica. So QTB cannot be used for testing Informatica application. It is a good idea to conduct a proof of concept of tool, right, on your application under test. So definitely before starting your test execution, most of the project do some POC, proof of concept, right? So here POC is not a point of contact, here proof of concept. So you can try to generate, create a one test case and need to do some feasibility study whether the tool is relevant for your application or not, right? How much kind of fasting, how what is the different pros and cons you are facing, how you can handle these things. So you can do some, spend some time and you can do some POC, proof of concept, for the tool, whatever tool can be relevant for your application. Then define the scope of automation, right? The scope of automation is the area user application under test which will be automated, right? These are the following points you need to definitely keep in mind before, right, going for the automation, right? The features that are very, very important for the business, so you need to think for those features. Scenario which have large amount of data, common functionality across application, technical feasibility, the extent to which business component will be reused, the complexity of the test case, ability to use same test cases for cross-browser testing. So these are the different parameters you need to, right, think, right, whenever you are defining the scope of the automation. Then planning, design and development, right? So during this phase, user will create an automation strategy and plan which contains the following details. Just like the manual testing, right, we used to create some, right, master test plan or master test strategy. Similarly also for the automation also, automation test plan, automation test strategy should be there, where everything will be described, right? What are the things will be automated, what is scope, what is out of scope, what are the tools will be selecting, how many test cases you will be scripting, for how many test cases you will be automating, right? When you are planning to execute them, right? In case of any failure, what are the different strategy you will follow, how will linked with your defect management life cycle process, right? How will you execute the test case through automated process instead of manually, right? In case you are using Jira or ALM, how your integrate automation to do with that ALM or Jira or Azure, right? Okay. So automation, you need to consider the automation tool selected, framework design and feature, in scope and out of scope item for automation, automated test bed preparation, schedule and timeline of scripting and execution, deliverable automation testing. So that are the different things you need to consider during planning, design and development. So first you will plan, then design means you will create your right, automation test script, reusable component, all this stuff. Development means you will try to go as per the test cases and you will add all the assertion point, right? So your execution test and also you can do some dry run so that your execution should be ready. And the next step, test execution. Automation scripts are executed during this phase. The script need input test data before they are set to run. Once executed, they provide detailed test report, right? Execution can be performed using the automation tool directly or through any test management tools which will invoke the automation tool. Just I have mentioned that in case if you want to run with the help of Azure, right, or your Rally or Jira or ALM, you can also integrate and you can run from there, right? Okay. Example, Quality Center is the test management tool which in turn it will invoke EFT for execution of the automation script. Script can be executed in a single machine or a group of machines. The execution can be done during the night to save the time. So definitely you can also use multiple OS combination, multiple browser combination. Also you can set some execution on the nightly basis so that those can be executed unattentedly, and automatically you can integrate with some of the continuous integration tool just like Jenkins, so that your, in case some build is coming, it will try to trigger automatic build, and once the execution is done, it will try to generate the report to the respective stakeholder, failure or success for any reason. Then the last one is the automation maintenance, right? So that is very, very really important. In case you are spending lot of effort in your design, test case design, running, execution, right? But in case you are not maintaining your script, right? So after say suppose if today already you are completed the design of 50 test cases, development of 50 test script, okay, and after 3 months time you are asked to run in a single day, and whenever you are running you found that your script is not working and a lot of trouble is coming because one page got changed completely, right, and other thing also changed. So that is the reason you need to update your script on regular basis. So maintenance is required on regular basis instead of on ad hoc demand basis, so that any point of time you can run your test case and you can generate the report and you can share with the respective stakeholder. So test automation maintenance approach is an automation testing process, automation testing phase carried out to test whether the new application functionality added to the software are working fine or not. Maintenance in automation testing is executed when new automation scripts are added and need to be reviewed and maintained in order to improve the effectiveness of automation script with such successive release cycle. Then most of the interviewer will try to ask question that what is Java Ops concept and how you will be implementing those Java Ops concept for your framework development, each and every concept. So in Java Ops concept there are primarily 4 concepts: data abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism, right? And definitely you will be going with some interface, right? You will be going for some object and classes. So you will be creating multiple classes, you will be creating multiple objects for the multiple classes, you will be using some interfaces just like the WebDriver interfaces, right? So there are primarily important 4 ops concept available in Java, right? And the way how it is used in Selenium automation framework, I will try to elaborate it now. The first is data abstraction. So what is data abstraction? Data abstraction is the hiding something, right? So data abstraction is the property by virtue of which only the essential details are displayed to the user. The trivial or non-essential unit are not displayed to the user. In Java, abstraction is achieved by interface and abstract class. User can achieve 100% abstraction using interfaces. In Selenium WebDriver itself acts as an interface, right? So WebDriver driver, new Chrome driver, new IE driver, new Firefox driver, right? You can use it, right? So user initializes the Chrome browser using Selenium WebDriver. It means they are creating a reference variable driver of the interface WebDriver and creating an object, right? Here WebDriver is interface and Chrome driver is the class. So user can apply data abstraction in a Selenium framework by using the page object model design pattern, right? They can define all locators and their method in the page class. User can use this locator in their test, but they cannot see the implementation of their underlying method. So user only show the locator in the test but hide the implementation. This is simple example how user can use the data abstraction in automation framework. So whenever you are creating an object or instance, right, for the driver with the help of WebDriver interface and the Chrome driver class, after that you can use all the methods, right, available in the WebDriver, but definitely you will be not knowing how it is implemented, right? Instead of that you will be using, right? Just like the real-time example is that you are trying to send some message or mail. So definitely you are typing the to message list, but you will be not be knowing how the message is getting sent or mail is getting sent, but you can use that functionality. So that is data abstraction and that is the implementation in the framework. Then next is encapsulation. So encapsulation is defined as the wrapping of data under a single unit. So capsule, just like the capsule, right? Gradient and different variety of similar or dissimilar thing in a single capsule, right? So wrapping up data, right, and the data and kind of different methods together, I can say. So encapsulation is defined as the wrapping up of data under a single unit. So it is a mechanism that binds together code and the data it manipulates, right? So you can bind together code and data whatever is required. So encapsulation can be achieved by declaring all the variable in the class as private and writing public method in the class to set and get the value of the variable. So you already see in the last topic, right? So whenever we are using some sort of inheritance, right, or in kind of interfaces, right, we already see we will be creating the class as private but all the methods as public, right? So you can set and get the values of the variable. All the classes in an automation framework are example of encapsulation. In page object model, user declares the data using @find by and initialization of data member will be done using constructor to utilize those methods. So I will be showing you how the encapsulation also be happening in the Intel 10 framework. Then the inheritance. Inheritance, the mechanism means you are using your father and forefather property, right? So inheritance is a mechanism in Java by which one class, which is child or subclass, is allowed to inherit the features, right, fields or methods or variables or method of another class, which is a parent or base class. User can apply inheritance in automation framework by creating a base class to initialize the WebDriver interface, browser, wait, report, logging, etc. So in the real-time framework, we will be creating a base class where we will be trying to add all the methods, all the important methods, right? So we can add some wait time, we can try to add all the important method for reporting, logging, right? We can declare all the browser, and then, right, for each and every page we will be creating a page class, right? And so for each and every page class we will be extending that particular base class, right? So that's so you can also do the inheritance in the real-time framework, right? Okay. So this is the simple example of how user can apply inheritance in our framework. And the last one is polymorphism. So you already know, right, what is polymorphism. Poly means many, morphism means form. So means many form, right? So polymorphism allows user to perform a single action in different way. In Java, polymorphism can be achieved by two ways. What is the method overriding? One is the method overloading, right? So method overloading, when there are multiple methods with same name but different parameter, right? Then these methods are said to be overloaded. Method can be overloaded by varying number of arguments as well as the changing the data type of the argument, right? In Selenium automation, implicit wait is an example of method overloading. Suppose say in case give for 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 hour, right? There is an options, right? Minute, hour, second, millisecond, right? So same name, but you are varying the parameter, right? Name, hour, parameter type, right? So implicit wait, user use different timestamps such as seconds, minute, hours, etc. Method overriding. So in case you are having two method in same base class or your child class, then your base class method will be overridden, right? So it occurs so in a derived class has a definition for one of the members function of the base class. The base function is said to be overridden. In Selenium automation, method overriding can be achieved by overriding any WebDriver method. In the WebDriver interface, user has two methods, right, for navigating or accessing any website. You already see. One is driver.get and URL you can provide. One is driver.navigate.to and you can provide the URL. So both the way you can navigate to a particular URL. But these two methods are the example of method overriding. Why? Right, get method does not load the web page completely if user are going to do some other operation after loading a page. That is the reason get is faster than navigate. Why? Suppose say after getting the URL, if you want to use explicit wait, right? So you can keep some condition that I will wait for a particular element to be visible and I will click. So I will not worry about that whether the complete web page is loaded or not. So you can use get, right? After that you can use the other method. So your page will not be completely loaded, but instead of that, in case you are giving condition with the help of explicit wait, that particular thing is visible, immediately it will be clicked and you can perform the next step. But in case you are using that other method, right, navigate drawback, right? So with using get method, user can't traverse back and forward, right? Whereas navigate supports back and forward, right, traversal of a web page. So that is the different way you can use the method overriding, right, which is the real-time example of method overriding. So I have tried to given for all the important example in the real-time automation framework: abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. Why I have tried to added it here? Because most of the interviewer will ask this question, that what are the OPS concept and how you will interlink the OPS concept while building your framework. Then what are the different top 10 automation framework available in the market, right? So definitely a lot of framework is available, out of which I have tried to depict here: Robot framework, WebDriver IO, Citrus, Cypress, Selenium, Cucumber, Gauge, Serenity, Carina, and Earl Grey, right? So robot is actually that whenever in case you are using the Selenium with Python, then robot framework is the best choice, right? So robot framework is Python based, but you can also use Jython, Java, or Iron Python, right? The robot framework uses a keyword driven approach to make tests easy to create. right? Robot framework can also test MongoDB, FTP, Android, APM and more. It has many test library including Selenium WebDriver library and other useful tools. It has a lot of API to help make it extensible and possible. The keyword approach used by robot framework is great for testers who are already familiar with other vendor based keyword driven test tools, making the transition to open source much easier for them. Then the WebDriver IO. WebDriver IO is an automation testing framework based in Node.js. It has an integrated test runner and user can run automation test for web application as well as native mobile application, right? Okay. Also, it can run both on the Selenium WebDriver protocols and Chrome DevTools protocol, making it efficient for both Selenium WebDriver based cross-browser testing or Chromium based automation. And WebDriver IO is also an open source tool, so you can get branch of plugin for the automation need, right? Then Citrus is also an open source framework using which you can automate integration test specially, right? So this will be using, these are the different messaging transport like REST, HTTP, SOAP, JMS, right? Citrus framework will be suited for test messaging integration primarily. Then the Cypress. Nowadays, right, most of the project, most of the company are using Cypress nowadays, right? So Cypress is developer-centric test automation framework that makes TDD or test-driven development a reality for developer. Its design principles was be able to package and bundle everything together to make the entire end-to-end testing experience pleasant and simple. Cypress has different architecture than Selenium. Okay, while Selenium WebDriver runs remotely outside the browser, Cypress run inside it. The Selenium you already know, right? It is especially for the web-based application. It uses a lot of programming language and also a lot of different other things supported by the Selenium. Cucumber specially used for the BDD or behavior driven development, right? In case some of the times your business analyst, developer, testers, your client need to interact, right? Need to involve. So you can definitely go for the Cucumber with BDD. Then other framework, right? Gauge, Serenity, and Carina, Algae. You can definitely some of the company using it, right? So definitely, I have tried to depict all the major point here. You can go through here once if you want to learn all the details of the framework, right? So primarily, these are the different framework, right? Mostly used in the market. But I must say that robot is used especially for the Python based Selenium Python, and apart from robot, Selenium is also used market, and then Cypress and Cucumber also is very right now it's demanding in the market, right? And your Citrus is only for the especially for the kind of API testing. Okay, then framework in Selenium. Why we need to create the framework in Selenium as well, right? We are talking about lot of things. So any kind of tools, whether you are using RFT, Tosca, Selenium, UFT, okay, or other tools, it does not matter, but you should follow some framework, right? From an automation testing perspective, so that it work will be easy. You can isolate the data and code separately, right? Your maintenance will be easy, right? You can run them easily. If you are facing any problem, you can fix them. You can debug them easily, right? So similarly, Selenium framework is a code structure that is used to make code maintenance simpler and readability better. It helps in dividing the entire code into a smaller part of the code in a systematic way, which tests a particular functionality. Without framework at starting, right, user had written complete code and data in the same place that was neither usable nor readable. But using Selenium framework, user can create the structure of code in better way, because we can also some coding standard as well, right? So you can keep the test data separate from the actual test case, which help to analyze and update data easily. It increases code readability, helps to get desired result in a systematic way, and reduce keep maintenance cost. Without a framework, a single test case have millions lines of code, and it will test the entire functionality of the application. So I already tried to give it, right? In case you need to update something, right, you need to analyze all the codes again, and definitely need to find out, so it will be a hectic process, right? But when you will be using Selenium framework structure, it breaks the entire code into smaller part, right? The smaller part can be easily readable if we need to modify and perform a particular function. What are the different type of framework available? I already tried to give you, right, an example. So I think modular driven, data driven, keyword driven, hybrid is a combination of data and keyword driven, then BDD or behavior driven development, and TDD, test driven development. This is the primarily 6 majorly used framework is available in the market, right? So what is modular driven framework? In this framework, the tester can create test script module wise by breaking down the whole application into smaller module as per the client requirement and can create test script individually. What are the pros and cons available for modular driven framework? Pros or advantages: modular driven framework ensures the division of script that lead to easier maintenance and scalability. User can write independent test script. Whereas the disadvantage is that modular driven framework requires additional time in analyzing the test case and identifying useful flows. So definitely, in case you are still not using, but modular driven is not used vastly, either most of the company are using either BDD or TDD or your hybrid framework, which is a combination of data driven and keyword driven. So what is data driven framework in Selenium, right? I already mentioned we need to separate the data and code, right? We need to isolate it. Instead of together, we need to isolate it so that any point of time our maintenance or our debugging after fixing everything will be easy. So data driven framework in Selenium is a technique of separating the data set from the actual test case or code. Since the test code case is separated from the data set, user can easily modify the test case of a particular functionality without making change to the code. Data driven framework is used to drive test case and shoot from external test data feed. The data feed can be data sheets like Excel, XLX, CSV file, etc. Say user has to modify the code of login functionality, right? So suppose in case you are using an e-commerce application where you need to log in the application, you need to search the product, you need to add the product to the cart, right? And you need to, once the product, all the added is cart, you will be doing the payment. After that, you will be closing the application and you will be logging out, right? But say for the login functionality, some sort of changes. Instead of there was 2 field, email and ID, so email and password, but right now you need to add one more field, right? Which is the email or your mobile number. So you need to change something, right? So you can only modify that one, right? So user has to modify the code for login functionality, then can modify just the login function instead of having to modify any other features dependent on the same code. This is the example I have tried to give how you will read the data with the help of data driven framework. So this is your, suppose say, your external source, right? Excel, CSV or database, right? This is the input data from where you will be reading the data. So you can read the data, right? For which you need to install Apache POI. There are a lot of functionality available, lot of methods available, with which you will be interacting with your automation script Selenium. After that, with the repeating process using test data, you will be interacting with the AUT or application under test, right? After also interacting, you can update your data sheet. So that's why you can do it, right? So in data driven framework, test data and code are stored separately, and then automation test script is connected with the data stored in external files, right? First you need to download the Apache POI. So this is the path you need to go here. Download the zip file and place them along with the set of Selenium jars and configure your build path, right? The coordination between the main code and data set will take created by TestNG data provider, which a library that comes as part of Apache POI jar file. So you need to go to that path first to download it, right? So you can go to that part. So you will be getting all the thing, you can download it, right? And once after downloaded, you can paste save it, right? After unzipping it, right? So here I have tried to download the Apache POI. Then once it is downloaded, suppose for whatever project you want to do it, right? You need to right click the project. In case it is Java project, or in case it is a Maven project, you can add the dependency for the Apache POI. I will be letting you know in the other upcoming framework session. For here, let's try to create with the help of Java project only. So let's right click and go to the properties here, right? So in the Apache POI, lots of folder will be there. okay, and you need to add all the jar files. So these are the jar file you need to add your project, and also you need to go for the other folder in case any jar file is available. In the folder there is no jar file. Library folder of the jar file you can add to the project, and similarly also you can go to the OXML lib function, you can also add it, so that you can read and writing your data will be successful. So here if you go to the Java build path, I already added it, associated it in my project. You can go to the add external jars, and you can see, so you can select all the thing, right? Similarly you can go to the other folder, you can select all the jar file, and from the library folder you can also select the jar file. After that you can apply and close, so that all the relevant jar files for reading and writing the data from the Apache API will be added to your project, so that all the relevant method you can call it directly. So that is your first step. So what is the data-driven framework important in especially for the Selenium WebDriver, using Selenium WebDriver? So they reduce the cost of adding new tests and changing them when your business rules change. This is done by creating parameter for different scenario using dataset that the same code can run again. Suppose in case you need to create the data, so same data can be created for multiple times, or otherwise maybe after varying one or two field, right? Suppose say every time you will be adding the product to the cart and you'll doing the payment, but only your product name will be vary, otherwise rest of the thing will be same, right? So definitely you can create 10 test case for 10 different products, but same test case can be run, you will be just only changing your product name in the data source. So that is the simple example. So data-driven framework help to identify what data is most important for tested behavior by separating first class scenario data into parameter. It becomes clear what matters most to test. This makes it easy to remember how something works when developers need to change it. What are the major advantage of data-driven framework is having? It allows testing of the application multiple sets of data values during regression testing. It separates the test data from the executable test script. I will letting you know how it is separated. It's allow reusing of actions and functions in different tests. It generates test data automatically. This is helpful where large volumes of random test data are necessary. It results in creation of extensive code that is flexible and easy to maintain. Let's developer and tester separate the logic of their test case or script from the test data. It allows execution of test case several times, which help to reduce test case and script. It does not let change in the test script affect the test data, because your test data and test script will be maintained separately. So in case you need to update your test data, you will be just going to the test data sheet and will be adding or deleting or updating it, right? So by incorporating test data, data-driven testing with Selenium, tester can refine their test case for more efficient execution. This shortens timeline, makes their life easier, and result in more thoroughly tested, better quality software. So definitely it has some disadvantage also, right? This call for great expertise of scripting language required by the automation tool, because in case if you want to work with the framework, definitely you need some kind of good knowledge, otherwise it will not be easy for you. So for every test case, user need many data files sometimes. So according to the number of screen being accessed, user may have many data input and many may require many verification. Hence test data needs to keep the data file in different directory, right? So it can be a challenge, right? Other one is that in case of creating and maintaining the data file, user use text editor like Notepad. So extra care is needed in having the desired format needed by the function or script, which would process the concerned file. Otherwise, they shall get script processing error due to incorrect data file format or contents, right? So that is another challenge. Suppose say in case you are having definitely editor like Notepad, you can easily do it. But in case you are Ultra Edit or other Notepad, definitely it sometimes format may be mismatched because of the editor is not correct one. So definitely you need to take some extra precaution while the editor. Okay. So now these are the different kind of thing I have tried to cover it here today, right? What is automation framework, right? What are the different concepts lying on the automation framework? What are the different best practice you need to use it, right? What are the type of automation testing available? What are the test cases you will pick up for to automate, and what are the test cases you will not pick up for automate? What is the automation testing life cycle, right? What are the different ops concept, right, associated with the framework? How you can associate it, right? what are the top 10 framework available, right? What are the modular driven framework, pros and cons, what is data driven framework and pros and cons. Now I will try to create a data driven framework completely, right? So in the Selenium season 9, right, you already see how can we, right, vary the data with the help of TestNG, right? So this is the thing we used, right, in the last session. So we'll be creating a before test or before methods, right, where we'll be setting all the data, right. Tear down will quit the data, and we'll be using the test case at the red test annotation, right, and with the help of data provider you will be reading and writing the data. But here we did not use an external source. Instead of that, we have tried to provide the data from that particular test case itself in the data provider. But now today I will create an Excel sheet, and from Excel sheet I will try to read the data. Okay. So I already associated all the relevant Apache PY jar files in my project. You have already seen after downloading it. So now I will be creating a test data sheet. Suppose say in the D drive I will create a data sheet. So what are the thing I will be automating it? Suppose I will be automating that Rediff login functionality. Here I will be try to give different kind of username and password, right? I will not click on the sign in, but I will try to show you how we can pass different kind of data sheet in the username and password. So let's create an Excel here. Okay. So I will be creating an Excel sheet here, new Excel. First thing is that you need to create the Excel. Suppose say Rediff login data, right? So it is the what is the thing, Microsoft Excel sheet, right? So you can also go to the properties, you can see what is the extension, right? XLSX. Okay. So I will be opening that Excel sheet, and I will try to add some data variation for the Rediff. So I can give here Rediff user 1. Okay. Similarly I can give for the password combination. So that's why I can give the password and username. So I will try to read it from external source, but here in the last session, right, you will be writing it here everything in the test case, right, in the with the help of data provider. But today I will try to show you everything I will try to read from external source. Similar way, in case I want to give multiple variation, I can give it. Suppose say I want to go for 3 different combinations, right? Rediff user 1 password 1, Rediff user 2 password 2, Rediff user 3 password 3, and let's keep a save of that Excel sheet. And here only one tab is there, right? So how you will read the Excel sheet? So that is your first question. First you need to go to the path of the Excel sheet, right? And you need to read the Excel sheet through the Excel sheet name. Then you need to go to the sheet, because in the Excel sheet there can be multiple sheet or tab, right? Sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, like that. Okay. So sheet 1 will be starting with 0 index, that is the 0th sheet, right? And then you need to go to the row, right? And then you go to the column, and then you need to go read the cell. So that is called cell. That is row, and that is column, and that is called cell. So in Java everything will start from 0. Okay. So it is row 0, column 0. It is row 0, column 1. It is row 1, column 0. It is row 1, column 1. It is row 2, column 0. It is row 2, column 1. So here this is column 0, this is column 1. This is row 0, this is row 1, this is row 2. So definitely you need to first learn how many row the data is available, right? So these are the different method you need to create it, so that you can read the data from the external source, right? So let's save your code first, save your Excel sheet. So my Excel sheet has been saved. This is the first part, right? After that, suppose in the training folder I will try to create a class, right, through which I will try to create some methods, right, through which I will try to interact with the Excel sheet. Let's try to create a class. So suppose say session 11, right, read data, okay, or read Excel data. Here I will be writing all the important methods. So I am not selecting the public static main void as well. So let's create it. Okay. So it is done. Then I need to define some global variable, whatever I will be reading it multiple times in the multiple method. So one is that workbook and worksheet. What is the workbook here? Workbook, your Excel sheet. This is your workbook, and worksheet, this is the sheet. So I will be creating some variables for the workbook. X S S F workbook, suppose say WB. This is the variable globally I am defining. Similarly, worksheet, I can also define one variable, worksheet, XSF sheet, suppose sheet. So you can see some error message is coming, right? So you need to import XSF workbook from the Apache PUI, right? You can see from that package is coming. From where that package is available? Because we have downloaded Apache PUI and we have associated in our project. Otherwise, this particular thing will not come in. This is the class XSF workbook, XSF sheet. Then you can get all the method from that class, and this coming from the org.apache.py XSF.user model package. You can import it, so the return message will be gone. Similarly, for XSF sheet also you can import it. These are the two global variable I have declared, so there are multiple primes I can use it. Then now I will create a constructor. So you already know the constructor can be created with the help of the class name, right? Whenever constructor, there should not be any return type, right? That is the two important thing you need to remember. So that is the constructor name, through which I will try to get the Excel path and I will try to read it, right? So here I can provide that Excel path string Excel sheet path. Excel path, okay. That is the thing I can do it, right? Why error message is coming here? Okay, that's fine. So I'll be creating a constructor here, okay, Excel sheet path. Then I can give because it's a method or constructor, I can give second bracket, okay. Here I will try to first read the Excel sheet, right? So you already know how can you read the data. So we need to create a file class. I'll be creating a variable here for the file class equal to new file, right? So from where we'll be reading the file. So this is the path through which I can read the file, okay. So that is the step 1. Then you already know how to read the file with the help of file input stream, right? So you need to import the file class from the java.io package. Then with the help of file input stream equal to sign, okay. Then I'll be creating a variable for the file input stream equal to FIS equal to new file input stream, and here equal to new file input stream, and I am providing the reference for the file class. So that is the thing you already seen multiple times. That is the way I can read the data. You can close this out, right? You can see there is some error message is coming. So I need to surround with some sort of okay, here some error message is coming. So I need to import the file input stream first, okay. Then still it is some error message is coming. So I need to surround with either try catch block, or you need to use some throws declaration, okay. I can go with the try catch block, okay. Let's remove that commented part. So that's why I will be trying to read the data with the help of file input stream. Now after the file input stream I read, right, I also need to read my workbook, right? So I already created the variable workbook, right? So here I will be reading it, workbook equal to new that workbook, right? And here I will be providing the reference of FIS. So that's why I can read the workbook. So that is the method I have tried to return it here. Okay, so here some error message. So we need to again surround with try catch block. Let's try to surround with another try catch block. Okay, now error message is gone. So that is the first method I have written here. Okay, so that I can directly go to the workbook, means my Excel sheet. So I have provided the path here, right? With the help of file class I am going to the path. With the help of file input stream I am creating a variable where I want to read the data, and then I am going to the workbook, right, with the help of FI stream, whatever I am reading. So that is the one method, one constructor I have written, right? Then I will go for other method, right? Then how you can go for the other method? I will create two more method. One is, right, to get the data. So how will get the data? So you already go to the sheet, right? Now that means workbook. Now if you already get the path of the file and you already go to the workbook, then you need to go to the sheet name or tab name, right? Sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, you can also change the name. Then you need to go to the row, and then you need to go to the column. Okay, so that's why I can create a method, right, for reading the data. So let's create a method, public. What is the method name? Get data. So here I can pass the variable. So suppose this in string number here. Okay, so say integer sheet number. First I will be getting the sheet number. What is my sheet number? And then what is my row? Then what is my column? Okay, so it need to return type. So I will be returning a string. Okay, now no need to give it right now. So I will be showing it why it is string. So here I will be first. I already read the workbook. So I will be reading the sheet here. This is the sheet. Okay, so sheet equal to, how can I read the sheet? I will go to the workbook. Then if I press dot, right, I can get a method get sheet add, right? What is the return type? You can see return type is excessive workbook, right? So here I can give the variable name sheet number. What is my sheet number, right? So that's why I can go to the sheet. Then I can read the data, right? So what data? Let's go to the data. How can I go to the data? First I need to go to the sheet, because I already in the previous one I already go to the workbook. Here I am trying to go to the sheet. From which sheet I want to read the data? So I will be going to the sheet. Then I will be going to the row, right? Get row. Okay, you can see get row. So once I know the sheet, first I will be going to the path. Then I will be trying to identify the workbook. Then I am going to a sheet, and then I am trying to get to a row and column. Then I will read the data. Okay, so get row. And here you can, I already defined the variable for the row is row, then I can do it definitely. After that, if you press dot again, right, you can get a method called get cell, right? You can see get cell, and then you can provide the variable as column. After that you can get the data or can read the data. So there is a method called get string cell value. Okay, so that's way, right? What is the return type? It is string, right? So get string cell value. So definitely as return type is string, so I need to store it into a string variable, and I will be returning the data, right? So that is the reason I also need to give the return type here. So which is nothing but the string. Okay, you can see error message gone. So that is the two method I have written so far. One is I am creating a constructor where I want to try to read the Excel sheet, means Excel sheet name and Excel sheet workbook, right? And another one, I want to go to the sheet number, I want to read the row, I want to go to the column, and I want to get the data. right? So these two methods already written here. The third method I'll be writing it here to read how many row is available, right? So definitely there is no point of returning the blank row. In case data is available, so I'll be reading the row, right, only. So here 3 row data is there, so I'll be definitely reading the 3 row, no other row I'll be reading it, right? So here I'll be creating a variable public get row count. Okay, here I can provide same way integer seed index, that is the variable I want to pass it. Okay, let's method, so I can give the double bracket here. Okay, so here I'll be first starting how many row data is there, so it will be row variable equal to, how can I write it? So I'll be first going to the workbook and then get sheet, right? So first I'll be going to the workbook and then get sheet at, right? Get sheet at, and you can give here that variable whatever you are declaring, right? So I need new variable I have declared, so I'll be going to that variable sheet number index, and then if you press dot, there will be method called last, get last row. So that's why I can get to know, right, for how many row data is there. So till I will go to the last row, for till where data is available, and return type is integer. So I can make the return type of the row as integer, int, right? Then how will iterate? So I already go to the row, right? Suppose say for first I will check whether data is there or not. So here data is there. Then again I will go to the next one. So row equal to row plus 1, right? So row equal to row plus 1. That's why I can go to all the row one by one, and I can iterate until there is no blank record is there. Then I will be returning that variable row. Okay, so definitely it is returning something. So I also need to return, what is the return type of the row? Integer. So here method you can get the return type. So I think you can see all is green now. Okay, so that's why I can read the data from the Excel sheet. I am creating 3 methods. One is I want to read the Excel path here, right? Then I want to read the sheet, then row, and then column, and I want to get the data. The third one is I want to iterate all the row one by one and want to see for how many row data is there. Until data is present, I will be iterating it, and once it is blank, I will be not iterating it until, right? So until the get last row number where the data is available. Okay. Now I will be creating another methods, another class. Maybe I can create a testng class. So where I will be reading everything through testng. Other, it will be my test class, right? So say session 1 session 11 data driven testing on the finish. So here I will try to take the code written in the last time. I want to show you how it is linked. So here I am simply pasting the code. So we can import all the things. First we will be importing WebDriver. We will be importing before test, or we can also change it to before method, so that it will try to go for every method level instead of test level. So I can go for before method. So every method it will call instead of test only. So I will click on the import on the Chrome driver. Here also I can go for the after method. So at the method level it will call. So every time your driver will be closing for every data combination. Okay, and here also I can import right by ID, and here also I can import the data provider, right, data provider. So let's that's why right your error message gone. So I am just now writing anything. Now let's try to change, instead of Facebook I will try to read the data from the Rediff mail, right, Rediff. So let's change the URL here, right, and here method name I can change it, right, instead of Facebook or right, I can change the method name called Rediff, right. So that is the method name I have changed here, okay. And similarly, as I want to read the data for the Rediff, right, I need to inspect the username and password, right. Let's try to inspect, press F12 button here. Let's click on the username field and let's see what are the different variables here. So you can see there is a name, right, called login or ID. I think ID should be unique. I can go with the ID, login one, right. So I'll be changing it first ID. Okay, what is the ID? Is the login one. Instead of email, I can change it to login one. Similarly, I can go to the other field here. Okay, for the password field, let's what is the ID? Password. Let's change it to password. Right. So let's change it to password. Now let's try to run it without taking the data from the Excel sheet. Okay. So here we will be simply trying to run and see whether the five different combinations is running, whatever lines of code you have written, without implementing the test data sheet. So it will try to run from here, right. So let's try to run it, whether see, right, every time your Chrome browser is opening, right, and every time it is opening the Rediff page, and every time your login password is getting entered here from the test data provider, whatever is given in the Excel sheet, sorry, not in the Excel, in the test case itself with the help of data provider, and every time your browser is getting closed or not. Okay. So we can run it from here, test ng, run as test ng test, and let's see whether it is running successful or not. After that I will try to implement the Excel part, another part. So we can implement step by step. So it should open the Rediff page now, and it should go for enter with the first combination, username 1 password 1 it will close the browser. Okay, because we are using before method and after method, so every method it will be called prerequisite at the post condition. So it will go for 5 different combination, right. So it is running. So 2 set run, so it will run for 5 set, because iteration, number of iteration I have given 5, and number of arguments where I need to number of variables I need to pass, it's 2, username and password field. So it is going for third combination, data combinations, username given, password is also given. Okay, third combination run, and now it will go for the fourth combination. So every time it is before method and after method I have written. In the before method I have written for setting the properties for the Chrome driver, and after method I am quitting the driver every time. So that is the reason every method, right, every iteration it is trying to call the before method and after method. So it is going for the fifth last combination, and after that driver will be quitted, and all your test case will pass. Here you can see it went for 5 different combinations, right, 5 of 0, right, set 1 combination, set 2, and you can get all the details, right, 5, no failure. Okay, so I did not change anything, I only changed the URL and for Rediff and this thing. Okay, now say I will try to read the data from the external source. So definitely that part you can remove it, right, there is no point of that part, right. I can comment it out, or I can remove it. Definitely there is no point, because I will be reading the data from the external source. Okay, so here I am not changing the method name also, because here also method name is same, I am not changing it, right. So data provider also same, right. Then how I will read the data from the external source? So we have already created 3 methods, right. Okay, so I have created a constructor here, right. So that is my constructor. So I will be creating a object for that particular class. So this is my class. So suppose say I will be creating an object called obj, right, or config or anything, obj equal to new, that is the constructor. And here is a constructor you already created for the class, you need to create a constructor, right? So you need to give the path here, right? So what is the path here for the Excel sheet? So this is the Excel sheet I have created, right, in my D drive, right? So right click here, click on the properties, you can get the path here. This is the path D drive, right? So you can give the path as D drive here. Right, and then Excel sheet name, right? What is the Excel sheet name? This is your Excel sheet name. What is the extension? .xlsx, .xlsx, right? So that's way you can create a variable for that particular class, right? So this is done now. Then I will be creating a variable for getting the row, how many row is available, right? So this is the first part I have done it, right, based on my method I have written. So I am creating a class for that particular, sorry, I am creating an object for this class, and also for this class I have created a constructor, so I am providing the path reference here, the Excel path for the Excels, right? Then I will go for the next variable where I will try to get how many row is there, or so how many row is there, right? So here 3 rows, so I need to get all the rows, right? How many row data is available. So I will be storing, reading them first, right? So I will be using that object. Then if I press dot, so I can call that particular method, right, get row, right? You can see get row count. I can call the method where you need to provide the sheet index. What is my sheet index? Here only one sheet is there, so you can give the sheet index as 0, because in everything you start from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. So I will be giving the sheet index as 0, right? Then I need to store them into the, right, some integers, because this will give you the count, right, how many row data is available. Suppose the integer rows data. Okay, this is the variable I am doing it. Okay, then now I need to read all the data. So I already know how many row is there, so definitely I will be creating a for loop, right, where I will be iterating the row one by one. I will be going for row 0, right, to rows. Suppose in case it's 5 rows there, I will be iterating to 4, 0 to 4. So I will be creating a for loop. Here I will be creating a for loop for which I will be iterating it. I will be iterating the rows data, right? So for integer I equal to 0, I less than rows data. How many rows data is available? Because I am starting it from 0, so definitely I will be going to less than that, not equal to I plus plus, right? And here, okay, as I am using a for loop, so I will be reading the data, okay, with the variable. So what is my variable here? Variable is that data, right? That is for that object I have created here. Okay, so here that part is not required here. Okay, so here you will be creating the object after that. Okay, that is the one thing you need to read out. Once you go get the rows data, you will be creating the object after that only. Okay, where row part you can give it as the rows data variable, because there is your number of iteration based on the data available, right? So that is the one change you need to do. So initially for the data driven testing you are creating the object first, but here you will be creating the object based on the rows count and column count. You know this is fixed, right? Because this is the two column, you need to pass it. Okay, that is the reason I am changing it fixed one. But the row count, it is a dynamic here, right? In case you are changing the data here, it can be changed. So I am reading first the row, and based on the things, everything will be changed here, right? So that is the one thing you need to update. After that, as your data variable is there, so you can read the data variable, right? So data variable here, so you can go with the two-dimensional part. Okay, so first is row, so row is nothing but now is iterating I, and column is 0 because two columns, so 0 and 1, right? Column is 0. How will be reading the data? Equal to the variable you need to get it for the class you have declared dot another method, right? We have created get data, right? So get data method will be calling. Here we will be providing three different reference, right? Seed number you already know, the seed number is 0 because there is only seed. Rows will be changing it to I here, and column will be giving it for 0 because first is column. Okay, similar way I will be reading the other column data, which is the ith row, and column number is 1. Okay, here we will be just simply changing into 1, right? So that is the thing, and after that you will be returning the data. So that is the thing, you need to simply update it. Okay, other thing I will not be updating. So here we have written three different methods. One is first is this is the class, and within the class I have created a constructor where I am trying to read the Excel sheet from the path. After that, once I know the path and know the Excel sheet workbook name, right, I will be going to the sheet number, right? So this is my tab or sheet number, sheet 1, so it will be 0, right? Then I will be going to the row and then column, and then I will be reading the cell. Okay, this is the another method I have written. And third method I have written is I want to get to know for how many row data is there. So in case data is available, I will iterate. Otherwise, for the blank row, I will not iterate, right? So I will be iterating it, and I will be iterating row plus 1 until the data is there from the last row. So I can get the last row count. And here now in that particular data provider here, right? So I will be creating a variable for the class. As the class is also constructor, I am providing the path of the Excel file, which is external Excel file, right? After that, I am reading for how many row data is available, right? So you can see here with the help of get row methods, and here I am providing the index as 0 because there is only Excel one sheet is available. So that is the index 0. After that, I am creating the variables for the object types, because here number of iteration you already know, because it is not fixed here, it is driven by the Excel sheet. So how many row data is available, it will iterate, and column number I know it's fixed, right? Because I want to iterate for username and password. This is the two column, right? Then I will be using a for loop from the 0 to the data minus 1 to the how many is available, right? And here after that I will be reading the data for the first rows, first column, which is fixed row is here based on the loop, and column is 0, so it will take the username. Okay, that is the first column, and second is the password. Okay, returning the data, and I am using the data provider, and same data provider method is already entered here. Okay, now let's try to run it now, and let's see whether your run is successful based on the data provided in the Excel sheet. So I am trying to read everything from the Excel sheet, right? So your data and your code is separate, right? There is no such kind of dependency. Okay, let's try to run it from here, and let's see there are three different variation was there, and based on the three different variation whether it's running or not. So it is trying to launch the Chrome browsers. It will open the ready page, and it will go for 3 iterations. And we have used before method, after method. You can see ready user 1 and ready password 1 also will be entered. Okay, and it will close the browsers. Again it will open the browsers, right? Again it will enter the second set, and password also. After that, you will close the browser. Okay, so your second test case also passed. Okay, after the third test sets, it will try to run it. Okay, you can see it's running. So all your 3 iterations run successful. There is no failure, and you can get the data combination here. Ready user 1, password 1. Even also I tried to print it out, right? So this is my combination. Now say I want to change it for, instead of 3 combination, I want to change it for 5 combination. So here I will simply update the external source, Excel sheet. I will not touch anything in my code. That is the reason, right? Keyword driven testing. We are maintaining our code and test data separately, and we are reading it with the help of Apache PY, right? So we are not updating our code, we are just updating the Excel sheet. Okay, here we have updated for 5 combination. Now if you want to run it again, so you just run it from here without changing a code single thing. Just we are updating the Excel sheet. And let's see whether it's running or not. Okay, it's run for one time, it's going for the second time. Next it will go for the third run iteration. Similar way, 5 iterations will be successful. So you are updating only your external data source, not impacting any code. So that is the beauty of data driven testing. Whatever data combination you want to run it, write your test case, you can just update your external data source from where you are reading the data. Okay, so 5 combinations run successfully. Now say next time I want to run for 2 combinations, so I can remove it here, right? 3 different combinations, I can remove it, right? Let's try to remove it. So it will run for 2 combinations now. Okay, now let's try to run it again, whether it's running it for 2 combinations or not. Let's see. So it will run for only 2 combinations of data. So that's why without changing your code, in case you want to vary your execution with different data combination, you will be updating only your Excel sheet data external, so without impacting your code a single time also. It will give the password 2 combinations and it will quit the browser. Okay, so you both the test cases first. Okay, so that's why you can do the data driven testing. Now say, right, with the same data combination maybe, or maybe after changing the data sheet I can want to log into the Facebook page, right? So go to the Facebook page and let's see. So here you can open the Facebook page here. So I will be just updating my code here because I want to iterate with the same data combination for my Facebook page, because here also 2 fields is there, Facebook ID and password. So I can update the Facebook here, the URL and ID password, right? That particular element I can change it, right? So let's inspect the ID here. So the reference variable I can change it. So email ID is email. I'll be changing it the ID to email, and password I know it's pass only ID. So now it's updated for the Facebook page. So I have updated only this line of code. I did not impacted any other thing, right? Okay, and now here for the 2 data combination I can run it, right? So instead of Reddit user, you can, if you want to change it to Facebook user, you can change it. Okay, similar way, it's Facebook password. Similar way, if you want to go for other iterations, so suppose say I'll go for 3 iteration or 4 iteration, right? I can go it. So I'll be just need to save it. So it will go for 4 iteration and the Facebook page, and it will go enter. So now if you try to run it from here, let's try to see it. So you can easily see, right, with the help of framework, right, you can easily update your code and data combination as and when required. So that is the beauty of framework. But in case if you want to do it standalone way, it will be lot of things you need to update it, lot of places you need to update it. But your framework concept is very easiest way, very kind of error-free you can do it. You can see Facebook page already done, password user 1 password combination entered. Again it is opening the Facebook page, right, and it will go for second iterations. Okay, it is going for the second iteration, and after that it will go for third and fourth. So if you want to check it anything, you can also check it, change it, right? If you want to change your data combination again, suppose say 10 iteration, you can just simply change it for 10 data combination, and it will be updated, it will be run based on that. So with the help of keyword driven framework, right, data driven framework, you can easily manipulate the data from the external source instead of hard coding something, and as and when required you can just change them, right? So that is the beauty of any kind of framework. In case you are using standalone way, it might be complicated, but in case you are using framework, right, so it will be very, very easy, right? You can see 4 iterations run and 4 iterations successful. Okay, so that's why you can do the different kind of iteration, and you are just for data combination you are just only updating your Excel sheet, not your test code, right, test script or test code. Okay, so that are the different topics I have tried to cover today. Thank you.